This is the project we're going to do today. It's a sympathy card for the loss of a pet. This is the front and the sentiment on the inside. I took inspiration from a friend of mine on Facebook that did this beautiful card. And so I wanted to see if I could do something inspired by this card. And this was the result. And these are the stamps and dies that I used. I used Lawn Fawn Let's Play, the little dog, and I actually used the die for the little dog. You could also stamp the die cut and then just color in to make a silhouette and leave an outside edge, but I chose to just die cut out of black cardstock and make a little bit chunkier pooch. And I also customized an envelope for the card. And another stamp set that I used was the JustRite Pet Sympathy, and the little paw prints along the envelope flap were from this, as well as some of the sentiments for the inside of the card. I also used Sunny Studio Pet Sympathy, and this one I also used for some of the sentiments. And I used this little tree branch from the Stampscapes Nature Sheet 8. I used this die from the Lawn Fawn's Simple Grassy Hillside. And I used this circle, which is a little more than it's about 3 1/4 inches. And this circle is from the We Are Memory Keeper Circles Nested Dies. The heavyweight cardstock from the Paper Studio. This is the Hobby Lobby brand. And I also used Nina Solar White, the 80-pound, to cut the moon out using the circle die. And so let's begin. Okay, I'm going to cut out this circle and the little dog die from the Lawn Fawn Let's Play set. We're going to do this little dog right here. And so I'm going to cut out the die first, and I'll be back when I've cut these. Okay, I got these cut out. Now I'm going to use a small piece, a scrap piece of black cardstock, and I'm going to partially cut the circle out, and then I'm going to use one of my Lawn Fawn Simple Grassy Hillside dies to cut out a grass hillside. And when I get this cut, I'll be back. Okay, so then I got my grassy hillside cut out. And as soon as I have the silhouette of this dog, we'll put it right here behind the grass. So next I'll show you how to stamp the stamp onto this die cut. So now I'm going to stamp the little dog onto the die cut. So since it's a photopolymer stamp, I need to put my foam in my platform, and then I will put a piece of scrap paper, just some typing paper, on here. I'm going to put my negative space from when I cut the die. I'll put a little bit of temporary adhesive on the back here to hold it in place, and then I will put the stamp approximately into the die area. Then I'll remove this. I want to make sure that I have everything butt up against the corner here. And I will stamp the stamp onto the scrap paper. Then I'm going to take my negative space and I'm going to position it over the stamp. And since I put some temporary adhesive on the back of this negative space. It's going to hold down very well. I'm going to make sure the scrap paper is positioned properly. And then I will put my die cut into the cutout area here. Ink up the stamp. Stamp it. And I want to get it darker, so I'm going to make sure, always make sure your scrap paper is butt up in the corner. And I'm going to put the negative piece back in there again. And ink it up and stamp it. And then as you see, you get a perfect die cut from the stamp this way. Okay, I want to make a silhouette out of this, so I'm going to use my black Copic marker. Okay, and so this way, now we have a little black silhouette of the little dog. I'm going to use some cool grays to add some color to the moon. I'm going to use C5, C3, C1, and C0. And I will start by putting the darkest color along the outside edge. And I'll work my way in with the lighter colors. And then I'll blend it all in with the colorless blender. Okay, I got kind of a dark little line here from my colorless blender, but I'm going to cover this up with the grass here so that you won't even know. Okay, and now I'll start to position these things to see about how I want it. I'd say about like that. And I've decided, instead of using the die cut with the outline, I've just cut out another die cut, and I'm just going to color the entire thing black. And I kind of like this one better than the one with the outline, but I guess you could go either way you wanted to do. The one without the outline is going to be a little bit thicker of a dog, but then you don't see, I don't know how well you can see it here, but you can kind of see the stamp underneath the black. I guess I could have used a more opaque black instead of a Copic marker, but I think I like this. Another alternative would have been to just cut it out of black cardstock. And here's one where I just cut it out of black cardstock, and I think actually this is the one I'm going to use. And if you want the one with the black outline, and I tried coloring this in over the Copic marker using my Memento Tuxedo Black marker, and I think this did a much better job. You can't see the stamp underneath now, so if instead of just a pure black silhouette, if you want the white outline, you can still do it that way. Okay, I'm going to put some temporary adhesive on the back of the circle and place it in the negative space from the die cuts. Then I'm going to roughly position where I'm going to want to have the other die cuts. Then I'm going to use a Stampscapes stamp for the tree branches. Okay, now I'm going to choose what sentiment stamps I'm going to want to use. And so I'm looking over some of the different sentiment stamps that I have. And then I decide on one from a JustRite stamp set. And then I stamp that onto the circle. And I position it in, making sure the scrap paper is butt up in the corner, using VersaFine Onyx Black ink, and I stamp the sentiment onto my circle moon. Okay, and now I'll kind of place my die cuts in here to see where I want to place the tree. I remove the foam pad and I put the scrap paper in, butt up in the corner. See where I want to position the tree. And now I'm going to stamp in the tree using VersaFine Onyx Black ink. Okay, I'm going to use some pretty thin foam here, and I am going to add some foam to the grass. And for the little dog, I'll just put some glue on the back of it. I'm going to use some Nuvo Deluxe Adhesive Clear Drying Craft Glue. I'm using half a sheet of Hobby Lobby's heavy duty black cardstock, and I'm scoring it at 4 1/4 inches. Okay, I put some white acrylic paint on a block and I've wet it, and then I'm sprinkling it onto the cardstock. Then I'm going to put my heat gun to it for a little bit to help the acrylic paint dry. And now I want to spray some clear shimmer mist. So I put the cardstock in a box and I've got the shimmer mist about 1.5 feet above, and I spray a light coating on. And I'll dry it a bit with my heat gun. Okay, I don't know how well you can see this, but there's a nice little shimmer mist on here now. And I'll let this dry and then we'll put our little dog on front. Okay, and before I put everything together, I'm going to want to put my little personalized hand stamped by stamp on the back of the card. And since I am stamping onto black, I'm going to use my Hero Arts pigment ink, white pigment ink. Okay, and I've cut a piece of white cardstock to put in the middle so that I can stamp my sentiment on it. And I'm going to stamp the inside sentiment from Sunny Studio Pet Sympathy, and I'm using VersaFine Black Onyx ink again. And I'll use some VersaFine Satin Red to add a heart. Okay, and from the JustRite Pet Sympathy, for the envelope, I will stamp some little paw prints. And I'll also stamp the little heart using VersaFine Red Satin ink. Okay, now I'm going to put this on the front. Once again, I'm going to use my pretty thin foam tape here. Then we'll glue the sheet of white paper that we stamped the inside sentiment. Okay, and so here is the final card. And in the middle, and then on the back, a personalized handmade by me stamp. And I hope you enjoyed this video. Bye.